Jake Paul versus Logan Paul in a boxing match. This fight seems impossible, as why would two brothers who already have it all ever want to fight each other and possibly risk their relationship for the world to see? The crazy thing is, it being impossible just may not be the case. At the end of the day, these two brothers have a lot of people that care about what they are doing and have always been seen to go to any lengths to put on a show, and more specifically, to make a lot of money. This fight would undoubtedly generate a lot of hype, interest, and a lot of money for the brothers, as a fight between some of the most famous brothers on the internet would be giant. But is it truly worth it? Most people would probably say no, and that it is not worth it for two brothers who are already rich, famous, and healthy to get in a fight against each other. However, Jake and Logan may disagree.
I mean, but that's the fight that people want to see, I guess, right? That's the like ultimate crescendo of where this is all leading, is Jake Paul versus Logan Paul. It's never been done before.
Jake Paul and Logan Paul are two huge names and entertainers, with both of them immersing millions of followers on their YouTube channels and on all kinds of social media platforms, having a combined total of almost 100 million followers across both brothers on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram alone. Since their rise on the internet, both brothers have been climbing their way up in fame, following very similar but also different paths in each avenue that they take up. It started with Vine, with both of them amassing millions of followers on there. Fast forward a couple of years as Vine shuts down and they work on transferring their audience over to YouTube, completely changing their format and style to a high-paced daily vlog, and they quickly become the fastest rising stars on the entire platform, taking YouTube by storm. They use their momentum and consistent growth to keep breaking boundaries and one-upping each other, as they were both working their way to becoming some of the biggest influencers in the world. And there was even a time in 2017 where they went back and forth in the exchange of some very cringy, but also very viral diss tracks against each other, where we saw a public feud between them start emerging. Obviously, these diss tracks were more lighthearted and was a trend at the time that was followed by some of the biggest creators on the platform, where they would stir up drama and get people talking, but both of the Paul brothers clearly used it as leverage to build interest, and their fans were definitely eating it up and enjoying the show. These diss tracks brought attention, as the idea of family and especially brothers having disputes, especially publicly, intrigues viewers due to it being very outlandish and out of the realm of what most expect. That's what makes a fight between the two brothers so interesting, as everyone would wonder what would happen in a fight between two people who not only are very similar, but are literally family. A fight between the two would definitely capture the viewer's imagination, thinking what could happen in a fight between two brothers, and more specifically, how it could possibly affect their relationship and how the mental aspect would play into the fight. Logan Paul is the older brother and is seen to be the more mature and respected one. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is the younger, more arrogant and loud personality that is notoriously hated worldwide for his douchey attitude, actions, and persona. Their most recent avenue that they've been taking up is boxing, with both of them in the last couple of years having several fights with millions watching and tuning in to see what may happen. Both of them have always been on similar paths, but especially in terms of boxing, we see them take a completely different road and have drastically different goals. Logan Paul looks to be in boxing to put on the biggest shows to further back his goal of being an entertainer. This is further proven with his fights having back-to-back mega fights with fellow influencer KSI, and then having a fight with boxing all-time great Floyd Mayweather, where he had a colossal match that grossed over 1 million pay-per-view buys, and he reaped the rewards, being able to last the entire fight and not get significantly damaged during the fight. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is more and more starting to look like he's aiming to become a professional boxer. However, he started with a very similar approach to Logan, where he found himself fighting fellow influencers against the likes of KSI's younger brother Deji and fellow YouTuber Anisan Gibb. The more he went, however, he started really dedicating his life to it, isolating himself in numerous training camps and leveling up his competition. Even though they're not against real boxers, we've seen him fight a real athlete in Nate Robinson, a real fighter in Ben Askren, and most recently a proven heavy hitter and former 5-time UFC champion in Tyron Woodley. Jake wasn't necessarily opposed to fighting real boxers, as he tried to fight Tommy Fury, who is an 8-0 professional boxer and brother of the current heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury. Unfortunately, Tommy Fury pulled out, so that fight never happened, and instead he had the rematch with Tyron Woodley, where he was able to knock him out in the 6th round.
Look, dude, people have been trying to pit us against each other for ages, and no one is in the position that we're in. We're both doing it at the same time, at the same level, fighting different opponents, making the same amount of noise.
As stated, the Afro mentioned and infamous diss tracks between each other, the Paul brothers clearly aren't going to be the ones to shy away from creating drama and trash talk, even when directed at their own brother. Fighting is completely different though, with instead of it just being a war of words, it's a war with the fists doing the talking instead. The two have openly discussed the possibility of a fight between them. In boxing, it was always a fantasy to think what it would look like with two big-name brothers against each other in the ring, as during the early 2000s, both Vitaly Klitschko and Vladimir Klitschko reigned over the heavyweight division. Fans always wondered and hypothesized what the match could possibly look like between the two brothers, However, they always refused to fight each other, leaving that question still a mystery as to what could have happened in that hypothetical fight. Jake and Logan have referenced the Klitschko's and how they could be the ones to actually do it and actually get in the ring with their brother in a mega fight that would potentially be the biggest YouTube boxing match to date.
And the Klitschko brothers never did it. They had the chance and they never did it. But on
Yeah.
some legendary shit, on some historical epic shit, do you think a fight between you and I could ever happen?
Yeah. Like, I think it's bigger than the Klitschko brothers.
Do you think-
Culturally, because of the diss tracks, because of our past,
Oh my God.
because of the audience, because of the storyline.
As professionals, their record is drastically different, but also with very different opposition and consistency of fighting. Jake has amassed a record of 5-0 with 4 KOs as a professional. Meanwhile, his brother has yet to win a fight, being 0-1 as a professional. Jake's next fight is already confirmed and set for August 13th, with him being much more active than Logan, as all 5 of Jake's pro fights have come after Logan's only professional fight. Their records don't tell the whole story, however, as Jake has always been fighting competition that is smaller than him, as his opponents have ranged from 5'8" to 5'11", with him standing at 6 foot, and with Logan being a much bigger guy than all of Jake's opponents standing at 6'2". The height advantage wouldn't be the only physical attribute Logan has on Jake, however, as he has also weighed in as much as 200 pounds in his fighting career. Meanwhile, Jake mostly fights at catch weights of 192 pounds. This means that Logan will be taller, heavier, as well as him being the older brother. However, Jake is the more experienced boxer at this time, having doubled the matches that Logan has had thus far, with him having a total of 6 boxing matches, including amateur and professional fights, and with Logan having 3 matches total, including amateur, professional, and exhibition fights. While Jake has been consistent and grinding, Logan has been busy with other endeavors such as his podcast, drink company, having a match at the WWE, and more. This doesn't mean that Logan would be a pushover, however, as he has the physical attributes and could have the mental edge against Jake as well, seeing as though he is the older brother. But how would they match up stylistically? It seems with the data that we have now that they are pretty evenly matched. Both have been training for a similar amount of time and both have similar tools. Logan has fast reflexes and good upper body movement, able to get out of the way of shots, and is pretty durable, as shown when he was getting lit up by Floyd Mayweather, but was able to stay on his feet the entire fight. He stays behind his jab and does well on the back foot, but could be seen as hesitant as he doesn't always commit to his shots using his body, but rather more through arm punches that don't generate as much force. The power edge would most likely go to Jake, as he's been shown to drop all of his professional opponents to date and is coming off of a brutal knockout against a durable fighter in Tyron Woodley, who had never been put out cold prior to Jake's fight. However, this doesn't mean Logan has no power, as he was able to drop KSI with a devastating uppercut in their second fight and can generate a lot of force when he commits to shots. Jake is probably the more technical boxer, as he moves around the ring better and succeeds with a lot of straight and technical shots with more timing and accuracy, as well as the fact that he likes to go to the body more than his brother has shown. It would be interesting to see how Jake would approach someone the size of Logan, as he's a very big guy and Jake is yet to be seen against a taller fighter with a longer reach and bigger frame. However, Jake might have the edge considering his experience in the big fights have long past Logan's. With them being brothers, training partners, and being involved in each other's camp, training alongside each other, and watching each other develop in the sport of boxing, the preparation and approach for a fight against each other would be very interesting considering how much they know about each other and their training methods. Style dynamic between the two would also bring a lot of intrigue into a fight between the brothers, as they both have a very different boxing style, with Logan usually having a lower hand stance, popping his jab out and coming back to his hips, as well as mostly relying on reactions and timing to get out of the way of shots unless in close quarters, compared to Jake, who has a more traditional hands-up stance most of the time and relies on his defense and slipping to get out of the way of shots and creating angles and opportunities for himself.
Jake and Logan Paul getting in a boxing ring against each other would be a huge spectacle. It would for sure be a fight that would garner so much attention in the media and on the YouTube scene. To see two entertainers in the same direct family who have been making a name for themselves by putting on huge events in the sport of boxing go against each other would be unreal. Both of them definitely wouldn't want to lose, as they both have huge egos, pride, and confidence that they are the superior, and they wouldn't want to lose to their own brother. A fight between the two could be a massive opportunity to have a huge card and potentially create the biggest fight that any YouTuber or celebrity has ever been a part of, as this would be a fight that would break the internet.